Celeste didn't expect it to happen that fast. She'd barely finished setting up her profile, barely finished choosing photos that felt honest, but not too honest, because Celeste understood something most people learn. The hard way. Dating apps aren't about who you are. They're about what people think they can get from you. She was sitting on her couch when the first notification popped up. A match, and the profile looked perfect. The kind of perfect that feels expensive. Good job, good photos, good smile, the right mix of confident and down to earth. The kind of man who makes you think, okay, maybe this will be easy. His name was Elliot, and within 5 minutes he sent the first message. Not lazy, not weird, not hey with a dead emoji. He wrote like he'd done this before, like he knew how to sound interested without sounding desperate. You don't look like you belong on here. Celeste stared at her screen. That line. It was always that line. Not because it was romantic, but because it was designed to make a woman feel special before you've even earned her attention. Celeste smiled anyway, not because she believed it, because she recognized it, and she typed back, "Then where do I look like I belong?" His response came fast, too fast. "Paris." Celeste felt her stomach tighten, not because it was wrong, but because it was easy. It was a compliment that didn't require effort, a line that could be sent to anyone who looked like she had a passport. And still, it landed. Because Celeste had lived long enough to know something else. Even when you see the manipulation, part of you still wants the fantasy to be true. Elliot kept going. He asked where she'd traveled. He asked what she did. He asked what she was looking for. And for a moment, it felt normal. Until he said the thing that always changes everything. "So, are you more of a wine in a high-rise girl? Or, let's disappear for the weekend?" It sounded playful, but it wasn't. It was a test. Because the men who ask questions like that aren't asking what you like. They're asking what you'll tolerate. Celeste paused. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. And her mind did what it always does when a man starts pulling the conversation toward control. It went backward. Not to Elliot, but to Bobby. Because Bobby had trained Celeste to respond the right way. To be agreeable, to keep the energy light, to make sure nobody was uncomfortable, even if she was. Bobby didn't raise a daughter, she raised a presentation, and Celeste spent years mistaking that for strength. So she stared at Elliot's message, and she felt that old familiar pressure. The pressure to prove she was fun. The pressure to prove she was chill. The pressure to prove she was the kind of woman who didn't make things complicated. Because the truth is, women like Celeste weren't taught how to date. They were taught how to be chosen. And if you grew up like that, the first instinct isn't to protect yourself, it's to perform. Celeste exhaled. And instead of answering his question, she asked one of her own, a simple one, a clean one, the kind that reveals everything. She typed, "Why do you want to disappear?" There was a pause, not long, but long enough. Then Elliot responded, "Because I'm tired of all the pressure. I just want someone easy, someone who doesn't need anything." Celeste felt it immediately. There it was, the real sentence hiding underneath the charm. What he meant was, I want a woman who doesn't hold me accountable, a woman who won't ask questions, a woman who won't expect consistency, a woman who won't need emotional effort, someone easy, which is the same word men use when they mean convenient. Celeste's face stayed calm, but inside something clicked. Because Bobby used to say the same thing about people. Not the word easy, but the message behind it. Bobby didn't like emotional needs. She liked quiet obedience. She liked people who looked grateful. And Celeste realized, Elliot wasn't the opposite of her mother. He was her mother, in a man's body. Different presentation, same control, same entitlement, same hunger to be the one who sets the rules. Celeste stared at the screen, and she did something the younger version of her would never do. She didn't explain. She didn't soften it. She didn't perform. She just told the truth. Easy isn't love. It's avoidance. Another pause, this time longer. Then Elliot replied, "Wow, I was just joking, don't be intense." And there it was, the oldest trick in the book. Say something revealing, then pretend it was a joke when someone notices. Because calling a woman intense has always been the fastest way to try and shrink her. And for most of her life, Celeste would have shrunk. She would have apologized. She would have laughed it off. She would have tried to keep the connection alive. Because growing up with Bobby taught her, if someone is disappointed in you, it's your job to fix it. But Celeste didn't move. She didn't respond with anger. She responded with clarity. If noticing patterns makes me intense, then you're not ready for me. Elliot didn't reply. Of course he didn't. Because men like Elliot don't want a woman who can see. They want a woman who can be managed. Celeste set her phone down and sat back. And for the first time that night, she didn't feel rejected. She felt protected. Because the truth is, the apps don't hurt you because people leave. The apps hurt you because people show up with the same patterns you've been trying to escape your whole life. And sometimes, the first match isn't a love story. Sometimes, it's a test to see if you've healed enough to stop confusing attention with safety. And Celeste? Celeste passed. Because she finally understood something Bobby never wanted her to learn. When someone asks you to be easy, what they're really asking is to be quiet. And Celeste was done being quiet.